He was the perfect husband until the Christmas lights went out. On December 24, 2002, in the quiet Central Valley town of Modesto, California, a 27-year-old pregnant woman named Laci Peterson vanished into thin air. She was 8 months pregnant, her belly swollen with the son she and her husband Scott had already decided to name Connor. To the outside world, they were the golden couple, young, attractive, and on the cusp of a joyous new chapter. Scott was an affable, good-looking fertilizer salesman. Laci was the vibrant, beloved heart of their social circle, a woman whose smile could light up a room. But behind the carefully curated facade of their life, a storm was brewing, one that would erupt in a crime so chilling it would captivate and horrify a nation, exposing a darkness hidden in plain sight. The idyllic picture began to crack that Christmas Eve. Scott Peterson called his in-laws, frantic, saying Laci was not home. She had planned to walk their golden retriever Mackenzie in the nearby East La Loma Park and then go grocery shopping for the holiday meal. She never returned. The dog was found in the backyard, still wearing its leash, a detail that immediately felt wrong. Scott's timeline was precise, almost rehearsed. He claimed he had last seen his wife at 9:30 a.m. before leaving for a solo fishing trip to Berkeley Marina, a 2-hour drive away. He told police he was fishing for sturgeon, but the location he specified and the gear he used were bizarrely ill-suited for the task. The investigation, initially a desperate search for a missing pregnant woman, began to tilt on its axis. The community of Modesto rallied, plastering the town with flyers showing Laci's beaming face while search parties scoured the park and river. But Scott's behavior raised eyebrows. He gave televised interviews, his voice steady but his eyes strangely vacant. In one chilling moment, when asked what he would say to whoever had taken Laci, he looked directly into the camera and said, "I'm sorry," a bizarre and misplaced apology that sent a ripple of unease through viewers. As the days turned into weeks, the spotlight of suspicion slowly, inexorably turned toward Scott. Detectives discovered his secret life, a double existence he had meticulously constructed. Just weeks before Laci's disappearance, he had begun an affair with a woman named Amber Frey, a massage therapist from Fresno. He told Amber he was unmarried, that he had lost his wife, a grotesque premonition of the tragedy to come. When Amber, upon seeing news reports, realized the truth, she became the prosecution's star witness, secretly recording her phone calls with Scott. Those tapes were damning. On them, Scott's voice was calm, even romantic, as he spun a web of lies, claiming he was in Europe for New Year's Eve while simultaneously mourning his missing wife in Modesto. He never once slipped, never once expressed grief or anger. His concern was a performance, and a poor one at that. The foundation of the perfect husband was not just cracked, it was rotten to the core. Then, the break that everyone dreaded, and in a grim way, expected. On April 13, 2003, the body of a male infant washed ashore in San Francisco Bay, not far from the Berkeley Marina. The next day, just a mile away, the heavily decomposed body of a woman was discovered. Dental records confirmed the unthinkable. It was Laci Peterson. Both she and Connor had been dumped in the bay. The location was the final, devastating piece of the puzzle. Scott Peterson's alibi, his solitary fishing trip on the very day his wife vanished, now became the epicenter of the crime. He wasn't fishing for sturgeon. He was anchoring his wife and unborn son to the bottom of the sea. The Modesto Police Department arrested Scott on April 18, 2004, after a cross-country manhunt that ended with him dyed blonde, carrying $15,000 in cash and in possession of his brother's identification. He was ready to run, a man who had already shed his old life and was preparing to start a new one, forever. The trial that followed was a media circus, a gripping courtroom drama that laid bare the Petersons' fractured marriage. The prosecution, led by Rick DiStasso, built a compelling, if largely circumstantial, case. They presented a timeline that was airtight in its implication, Scott murdered Laci in their home on the morning of December 24th, then transported her body in the bed of his truck to the marina. They had no murder weapon, no direct eyewitness, and no clear crime scene. But what they had was a mountain of damning details. A homemade anchor made from concrete, identical to one in Scott's warehouse, was found near the bodies. Laci's hair was discovered on a pair of pliers in Scott's boat, and, most hauntingly, the timeline of the baby's gestation, based on Connor's development, proved he had died on or after December 24th, directly refuting any defense that Laci had been killed earlier by someone else. The defense, led by the flamboyant Mark Garagos, fought back fiercely, pointing to a series of alleged sightings of Laci after Scott had left home and suggesting a satanic cult was responsible. But their theories felt desperate, a smokescreen to obscure the cold, hard facts of Scott's deception. The climax of the trial was not a single piece of physical evidence, but the crushing weight of 1,000 lies. The jury saw a man who, while publicly pleading for his wife's return, was privately telling his mistress he was in Paris. They heard a man who never showed a flicker of genuine emotion, who planned his escape even as he played the grieving husband. The most powerful witness was not a forensic expert, but Amber Frey, whose quiet, credible testimony painted a portrait of a pathological liar. After 5 months of testimony and 184 witnesses, the jury deliberated for just 7 days. The verdict was guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder for Laci and second-degree murder for Connor. As the words "guilty" echoed through the courtroom, Scott Peterson showed no reaction, a final chilling display of his emptiness. Laci's family wept with a painful mix of grief and relief, while Sharon Rocha Laci's mother later delivered a victim impact statement that left the entire room in tears, a raw, unfiltered cry of a grandmother's agony for a daughter and a grandson she would never hold. Scott Peterson now resides on death row at San Quentin State Prison, his appeals winding their way slowly through the legal system, a process that could take decades. The legacy of the case is a permanent stain on the idyllic image of suburban life, a reminder that the most dangerous monster is often the one who shares your bed. The story of Laci and Connor Peterson is not a whodunit. It is a story of why a haunting exploration of a narcissism so profound that a man would rather erase his family than face the mundane responsibilities of fatherhood and marriage. It's a tragedy built on a foundation of secrets, where a walk in the park was never just a walk, and a fishing trip was a cover for a voyage into the heart of darkness. He told the world he was fishing, but the only thing he ever threw back was the truth. If stories like this keep you hooked, hit subscribe for more.